Hey guys, today is March 4th. It is a beautiful day here in New Jersey, but you can see behind me the storm clouds are coming. So this is a good time for me to start some peas. I'm doing shelling peas and I'm doing snow peas. Now there's a few things, people always wonder when is a good time for me to put pea seeds in the ground. Is it too cold? Things of that sort. Usually the information on the back of your packages is usually very accurate. Now, for this specific pea, the Waldo pea, it will tell you here what your zones are. Okay, now I'm not really, zoning, zone 7A, we're in zone 7A. It doesn't really matter. But they're giving you a rough idea of what your region is and when you can expect frost dates to start and end. So like for us, it says, New Jersey is in the yellow and we can direct sow these from February to April for spring harvest. Now, you can sow these later on in the year. You can do these in late July if you want to sow them in the fall. So a good indicator, you may think, oh, isn't it too cold for me to go ahead and put seedlings in the ground? Not always, and I'm going to tell you why. There's things that the earth shows us. I always say, I am not a teacher. We are just here to tell you what we do, where we succeed, and where we fail. And I like to learn from the earth. The garden is my teacher, and there are signs you can look towards, that will tell you plain and clear whether or not you should be direct sowing things like radishes, daikon, peas. Now, okay, when the soil is warm enough for bulbs to break through, it's usually a good indicator that you can go ahead and sow things like peas, radishes, and some brassicas, things of that sort. Now, these are all usually cold hardy, and if you know you're pretty much past any threat of snow, like right now, being pretty much mid-March, the grackles are here. I don't know if you get grackles, but if there are any birds that migrate to your area that usually indicate that spring is here, you can pay attention to that. So the grackles are here. The juncos, or the little chickadees, are gone. And now that I can see my bulbs blooming, I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, it's safe. We could potentially still get a snowstorm. We don't really know. But a day like today is perfect for sowing peas, because if you know you're going through a dry spell and you want to plant your peas, soak them. It will hasten germination and they'll pop very quickly and they'll soften up. But on a day like today, when we know we're going to get 4 days of rain, I'm going to go ahead and sow them without soaking them, because I know the earth is going to get saturated. But while I'm walking over to show you the area where I'm going to start my peas, I want to show you what my indicator from the earth was to go ahead and get started. So check it out. We have all of our bulbs started, and maybe you guys didn't start bulbs on your own in the fall that you wait to pop out in the spring, but maybe places in the area like a corporate office or your neighbors, and you start to see these wonderful flowers coming up out of the earth. Pay attention. It's a good way to learn to just pay attention to your surroundings and experience nature. And then you can say, hey, I forgot to read my pea packages about when I should start, but I see narcissus and daffodils. It's probably a good time for me to start. Now, a lot of these are a mix of various hyacinth and bearded iris that are taking over, and I'm very, very excited to see that. We have some iris that are not bearded iris, they're just a more petite iris that comes up. Let's see if you can get a good look at that. I got these at Costco. I think it was not last year, but the year before. I was expecting a big bearded iris, but they're just these little tiny guys. They show them to be blue, but they're all purple, but still really very lovely. There should be some crocuses coming up over here too. And look, all of this is chamomile that Direct's volunteered and is really taking over as a ground cover in this area. So this is where it wants to live, so this is where we're going to leave it. So here's my sweet pea fragrant flowers. You can see there's more bulbs popping up in the new raised beds that we put up late in the year, and I'm really super excited for what this is going to look like. This area is still a work in progress. We're building beds where all of this is left. So there'll be all sorts of flowers coming up, but I thought how nice it would be to sit here and just look at all of the hyacinths and different colored alliums, and then move on to fragrant sweet peas, and then fill the beds with cosmos and maybe some wonderful snapdragons. So you'll notice when you're waiting for your bulbs to pop up, you guys, you'll just see little mounds, like the earth just starts to mound, and you'll remember, oh my goodness, I planted bulbs there. You can, I don't know if you can see how hilly and lumpy it looks, but then all of a sudden you'll realize you have the tip of a bulb coming out, and that means that the earth is warmed up enough to go ahead and get some seeds in. So let's get started. Now, even though our garden is not really cleaned up and we had some wind damage that sort of took our trellises down, I'm not going to worry about it because these pea vines are very, very pliable and they have a mind of their own once they get started. Now, this here is a bed where we had Waldo peas and we had radishes. Now, you can see the radishes held on and they're not, oh, this one might be good here. I have a good radish. They're from last fall. They just sort of go dormant. Now, here goes Waldo pea. I guess it, you know, it's self-sowed, or it just one that didn't germinate, but I've got these all over the place from last year. So you can see they're tolerant of some cold. We've had freezing temperatures, we've had snow, we've had ice. Here goes some more. So we're already on our way to having peas that volunteered, so that's pretty exciting. So we're going to be working to get all these weeds out of here and getting these peas started. Hey guys, you want to say hello to everyone? Mr. Buddy. Here's Mr. Buddy, you guys. Let's get him in focus. There he is. He's the Mr. Good Boy. Hey, bud. Hey. There goes Alex back there, and then we have Aki hanging out on the end. It's a beautiful day here in New Jersey. Probably too beautiful. It's actually kind of scary. Normally at this point of the year, I'm still wearing boots and heavy coats. It's really clouding up, so I think we're going to get a good drenching rain. This is going to be a great time with mild temperatures. Now, that's another thing. You want to look at the forecast, get an idea of what your next 10-day forecast looks like. Of course, if they're predicting, you know, single digits or an ice storm or something, you might want to hold off. But like I said, these types of seeds they'll just sit and wait. They can go through a little bit of cold stratification and they will pop when the temperature allows them. So when I start my holes, I'm going to use my dibber. And I bought this stainless steel dibber on Amazon, and we can go ahead and post a link for you, but I found it to be very, very helpful at times. It's got a good, easy to handle, and it also tells you depth. So if you can see on there, it's good to have something that tells you how far down you're pushing when you want to go ahead and start your seeds. Now, the lowest number, there's 2 inches, I don't know if it will come up there, but it starts at 2 inches deep. Now, this is good for something that likes to get started deeper, or if you learn just how much to use from the tip of it, because a lot of seeds just need to be surface sowed, and I'm going to get into that with you more in a future video when I direct sow my carrots. I still have to do a lettuce video for you, a lot of stuff where you just want to surface sow and gently cover it. These things can go down a little bit deeper, so I'm just going to use the tip of the dibber. But what I'm planting today is green arrow shelling pea from Botanical Interest, and you can see that this is a frost tolerant plant and that it's 65 days into sow early spring and late summer. Very accurate directions on the back, you guys. Pay attention to your packages. Now, if you're like me, you've gone out and hoarded all kinds of seeds through the year. From last year, last summer, maybe you bought them while they were on sale and tell yourself, I have to remember to sow them in late winter for spring, and you forget. So it's time to go through your seed boxes, you guys. Here's another one. This likes to be planted 1.5 inches deep, the Waldo pea, and I showed you over there already. These guys started to sprout and they lived through snow and ice and everything. Now, the next 2 I'm going to show you are snow peas. These are great. You can eat the shell and everything. Great for stir fries, eating raw and salad. The boys love these. And they say to sow in place early spring or 4 to 6 weeks ahead of your last frost date. And we're a little bit more, we're probably, you know, probably 10 weeks today from our last frost date, but I know that these guys are going to do just fine. I've grown them over and over. So this year I'm putting them in a sunny place, and you can guarantee that when these start to bloom, they will get little flowers on them. They're very beautiful and colorful. Don't confuse them with any sweet peas or getting sweet pea flowers sown in these areas where they could be confused, because both things throw a seed pod. So remember, don't plant the sweet pea flower with your sweet pea edible peas, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get some of these in the ground and get started. So now once you are in the area that you want to plant in, this is a good opportunity, if you're doing different varieties, to mark them, because they all sort of look alike, so you may get your snow peas confused with your shelling peas. So again, we're just going to use the dibber to go down about 1.5 inches for these, and then you just go ahead and put your pea in the hole and go ahead and cover it lightly. And if you're in a dry spell, you're going to want to water this in. Very, very critical that the peas get a nice drink. But something I noticed that I just moved out of the way here, look, this is probably a lemon marigold, that I had these tiny little miniature marigolds, so I know I'm going to have marigolds here again. So look at this, here's my Cardubi snow peas. They are actually starting on their own as well, so you'll feel that these vines are very tough, and these little plants, they really want to grow, so I'm super excited. Now, if you've noticed, I'm planting these on a trellis. You can use any kind of trellis, whether it's cattle panel, cow panels, or not, like hog panels. You know, this is the thinner grade of stuff that we got from Tractor Supply on a big roll, and we utilize both the thinner gauge and the thicker gauge of actual cattle panel to grow something like this on. So the sweet pea is not really heavy enough to pull something down like a tomato would be, but you will want to have any kind of trellising, chicken wire, even if you use fishing line strung in like different grids, just to create something for them to reach up. Their tendrils will come out. Once you see the tendrils happening in the flowers, you know you're going to start to get some pea pods. So be prepared to trellis in some way. And if you are lucky enough to be in a position where you can actually eventually net them off, once the flowers start, the little birds will appear. And usually that's an indicator that it's going to get warm when the little house finches and chipping sparrows appear, and they will annihilate your peas. They'll just snap them right off. They love munching on them. So if you can protect them, go ahead, or just plant extra. And then keep in mind, anything that you get to grow, you want to save some. So grab a few pea pods and let them dry out, and then mark them in a baggie and start harvesting your own peas for pea seeds for next year, you guys, or in the fall actually. So keep a mental note. You'll be able to do this again later in the year to have fall peas. Speaking of harvesting your seeds, here's some old pods from last year. And let's see what's in here. Yeah. There are still, these are Blue Lake pole beans. So there's still beans in there that are going to volunteer. And I actually saw that there's a whole entire cluster down there. I was planning on doing some peas here as well, because the beans will be a while. So I think I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to do the green arrow over here in this area, and I'll find another place with a trellis as well. But yep, I guess I'm going to have more beans here, you guys. Okay, so in the right moist conditions, your peas are going to start to germinate in about 5 days to a week. If it's chillier than you expected, it may take a little bit longer, but keep a lookout, because it's wonderful to watch the growing progress and the process itself. So you have something to look forward to. It gets you out of the house. You start to learn. And this is where the garden teaches you. When you pay attention, read the back of your envelopes, you guys. I can't say it enough. And this, with the garden itself, is your teacher. These are your greatest learning tools. And you know, Farmer John was just saying that when you fail at something, failure is the lesson itself. So he may have phrased that differently, but I thought it was, I have to give him props, because that was a pretty smart thing for him to say. But yes, we all learn from failing. And maybe you plant your peas at a time where it was just too cold, or maybe it was too hot, or maybe it was too wet, or it wasn't wet enough. But you're not going to know. We can all stand here in all of our different channels and tell you when to sow this, when to plant that, when to dig that. You have to go by your region, what your climate is doing. We're going through unprecedented climate change right now. it's almost hard to predict what's going to happen. So, you know, we can go by our standards and remember that. But when you start to watch what the earth is showing us and what your garden is saying, that's what you really need to pay attention to. And as the seasons go and you continue to be encouraged and motivated to try to grow new things, you'll remember, oh, the narcissus are blooming. Let me sow some seeds for my peas. So let me try radishes for the first time, or daikon, you know, or just grow something that you've never tried before. So anyway, you guys, get to gardening, get your hands dirty. You can see, look, this is wonderful. I want to show you my hands already. And it's just the first week in March. So dirty hands and dirty fingernails are not for everyone. But once you learn that, you know, this is the fruit of your labor right here. So you'll start to know when you're a seasoned gardener and you've had great successes and great failures and your hands are chronically dirty and chapped. You'll know. It's like the more damaged your hands are, the more gardening you've done and the more you've learned, and you just take that with you year after year. Aki agrees. So anyway, you guys, stay tuned. I have a tremendous amount of content coming up. So if you have not subscribed yet, we ask everyone, please subscribe. Maybe you're watching but you haven't subscribed. Please subscribe. It makes a difference for us. And please like this video if you enjoyed it or if it helped you. And hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload, because there's going to be tons of new videos, you guys. So anyway, I am off to Costco and to Wegmans to get some fresh food. And who knows what kind of trouble I'm going to get into today now that I've got dirty enough. I'm going to try to wash up and get out the door. So thanks for planting some pea seeds with me, you guys. I'll see you in the next video.